We're watching you now, Europe. We're watching you. You're not watching us anymore. We've beaten this virus. Now it's your turn. Get to it.
Good morning. Well, it's good afternoon actually, but wherever you are, good whatever it is. Today is the 14th of March 2020, and I'm in Hangzhou, China. This is the 50 something day of social distancing. That's the new word, social distancing. It's not quarantine, it's not lockdown, it's social distancing. And this is what we've been doing in China. And now, for many, many days, most of China is now being free of any new infections. The new infections actually are now coming into the country rather than out of the country, as far as I understand it. Uh, so, what I wanted to talk about, instead of walking around my garden or the community's garden, ranting away, or telling you what I think, what I want to do is to tell you some practical things that will keep you safe. The main thing is don't panic. Yes, it was scary. It was nerve wracking right at the very beginning. Um, if you've read any of my stuff, you will know that I was really close to the virus. November 2nd and 3rd, I was in Wuhan doing some work over a weekend, staying in a hotel. And clearly, from what we know now, the virus was abroad. In November, because people weren't being ill, people were ill early December. So sure, certainly the virus was around. And then on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of January, I had a 3 day gig for my university where we were teaching, what was it, 300 students. And I had four classes of 80 students each. And then we had a speaking competition on the last day. 2 days later, I was told by the conveners of that competition that 30 of the students came from Wuhan. So, just by happenstance, I was very close um, to the virus. And you can see I'm no spring chicken. Um, I'm actually 66. I have a touch of asthma. I'm just feeling for where my inhaler is. So I've left it in the other room. And, it was worrying that I didn't want to get the virus, because that could have been me finished. I still don't want to get the virus. That's why you still see me when I'm doing videos. I'm wearing a mask. But I posted some stuff online about how do you survive the virus, and I'm going to go through it very quickly. You can find the full thing on my website, if that's what you want to do. But so we've been indoors for well over 50 days now, and we've only been out about 7 times. We've been to the supermarket 4 times. Luckily, just before we really got locked down and were not allowed out of the community, we got to the supermarket twice and did two big shops. Um, and then when the restrictions were lifted a little bit, the first thing we did was go out to the supermarket, and we've been there again since. We also were able, during the main lockdown, for my wife to go out to the local shops to get some vegetables and basic stuff locally. But one of the things that I want to talk about is how are you going to protect yourself? During this lockdown, I was reading a book by the astronaut Chris Hadfield, who's actually, I realized that his son, he writes in the book, his son was in Wuhan. I don't know where he is now, but he was in Wuhan. Um, an astronaut's guide to life on Earth. And in that, he says, as part of the astronaut training, you have to sweat the small stuff instead of don't sweating the small stuff. And this is the thing that's going to keep you safe during this virus is sweating the small stuff. My main point is people are your enemy. People are the vehicle viruses use to fulfill their biological destiny. They want to enter your body and multiply. That's the raison d'être. They just want to get into a body and reproduce like we all do. They're a living thing. We want to reproduce. Viruses want to reproduce. But stay away from people is my main message. Between 1 meter and 2 meters. So stay away from people. Don't get into lifts with them. Don't go down the pub. This is why they're shutting down all the big meetings. You just have to stay away from people. This is this social distancing, which we've come to call it now. It's not quarantine anymore. It's social distancing, and it worked. I'm proof that it worked. I'm in China. The rates of infections have really dropped off. We're not seeing any infections now, apart from those that are coming into the country. You just have to take protection. So we saw videos of people spitting on lift buttons and door handles and stuff like that. Don't touch them. Wear gloves if you have to. Have hand sanitizer. I saw some people. They had pens and they took the pens with them and pushed the buttons with the pens. So you need to think about these things. Like when you go out, we had to sign things. I disinfected the pen before I picked it up, because who else had been touching it? When the guard wanted to see my passport, he held his hand out. I didn't show it to him. I just held it up for him to see. I didn't want him to touch my passport. The handles of the shopping trolleys. Squirt the handles of the shopping trolleys. Protect yourself. Sanitize everything. Even the stuff we bought into our house that we had delivered, we sanitized it and then washed our hands afterwards. So washing your hands, you've seen this a million times now, but it works. Believe it. Now the question of masks. Just how many people have you seen or heard, oh, masks are useless, don't wear a mask? Well, 50 days later, I'm still wearing a mask when I go out. I go out at 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night, walk the dog. I still wear a mask. There's no one around. But I'm going to wear a mask because I don't want to die. And I'll probably not die even if I didn't wear a mask. But I'm going to do everything I can not to get this virus. And if that means wearing a mask, I'll wear a mask. And of course, when we go out, you have to wear a mask. You'll get caught by the cops. We went out last week. We went to IKEA. We wore masks. You wouldn't have been allowed in to the shops without a mask. You can see the video that I took in Starbucks, and it had it on the door. I filmed it. You can see it if you go to my YouTube channel. You're not allowed in without a mask. So don't tell me that masks are useless, because they work on many different levels. Even at the basic psychological level, where you feel like you're doing something, you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your family. We all want to do that, don't we? As men and women, we want to protect ourselves, we want to protect our family. So why poo-poo masks? For something so that if you can get hold of them, they're not expensive. But if you're in America and you go to the hospital because you've caught this thing, it's going to cost you a lot of money. All for the sake of a 10-cent mask, 10p mask, or whatever they are. It seems ridiculous that you can't do it. So this is the small stuff. And also having a mask on reminds you not to touch your face, poke yourself in the eyes. It's a good reminder. Now, the other things are about, sanitizing everything is when you're returning home, you maintain your discipline. Next to our front door, we got a hand sanitizer, like in a hospital. We come in, sort the dog out, clean the dog's feet, because you don't know where the dog's been, and people here in China have a habit of spitting. So you don't know what's on the dog's feet. You don't want to bring anything in with you. So we clean the dog, take your coat off, mask is still on, wash your hands or use the sanitizer, then take your mask off carefully. If it's used for a long period of time, discard the masks. But if you haven't got many, a used one is better than nothing. That's my opinion. I'm no medical doctor. I'm no expert. But if you only have one or a couple of masks, a used one is better than nothing. We hang ours up to dry next to the door. You can see it on the videos. Go and look through my videos, what we've done. I've gone round and showed you everything that we do. Check out the types of masks that are comfortable for you, if you can get them. Yeah, what I've done is I've done some reviews of masks, so you can look at the reviews. One type, the type kept falling off my ear. I don't know if my ears are defective, but one of the things kept, the elastic hooks kept coming off, so they kept dropping off. So I got the other sort. So yeah, check out your mask. But of course, we know that N95 are best. I don't believe, I have no time for these guys who say, oh yeah, you got to wear a full hazmat suit or a NBC biological mask. No, you don't. You don't need to do that. You just need some basic protection over your nose and mouth, just in case somebody's going to cough or sneeze over you. That's what it's for, and it's for you to protect other people. Excuse me. I haven't got the virus. I've got an allergy to the cat. But yeah, so it's something you need to think about. Masks. Yeah, wear them if you can. Gloves, goggles. We've seen people wearing goggles, wearing gloves. We didn't need to use them. I suppose we're not in a heavily infectious area, and glasses offer us some protection to our eyes. But I guess if you're going to go somewhere, there's a lot of people, and you have to be there, which you probably don't really have to be there if you thought about it and you valued your life and your health. You probably cancel it. But if you have to go, wear a mask and goggles and gloves if you have to. It's your choice. You have to protect yourself. The government is not going to protect you. You have to protect yourself. It's your responsibility. It's your life. That's my opinion. Yeah, just locally, keep your ear to the ground. Don't self-distance yourself so far that you don't know what's going on. Try and keep up with the news. Try and find out what's happening in your area, and it's a modicum of sanity, isn't it? You're keeping yourself sane, because being indoors for 50 days is no fun. And we all think that we're going to do all these great things. I'll start new hobbies. I'll write the bestseller. I'll paint a new masterpiece. And actually, you don't. For the first 2 weeks, my brain was quite zombified. I don't know if it was the shock of what was happening, the worry that we might be getting this thing, and you will probably go through that psychological period where you really don't know what's happening, and you really need to start putting some structure in your life. Don't just lie in bed all day or stare at the TV all day. you have to start doing stuff, which is the reason I started doing these videos, to give me another outlet to contact human beings, to have some other sort of contact. Yeah, there's me and my wife, but this social distance means you're distanced from everybody, from any interaction. It's very weird, to be honest. My job as a teacher means I'm often in front of 20 or 30 students and getting a lot of interaction every day. So it's very strange. Even, now I'm teaching online, it's very different, a very different feeling. Uh, if you are locked down, you might still need to get out to the shops. The public transport might stop running, the taxis might stop running, which they did here in China, in Hangzhou. The taxis stopped running, the buses stopped running, there was no public transport. Our local supermarket is 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away by taxi. How are you going to get there if the taxis stopped running? We have got push bikes, and in another city I had an electric bike. So, and I know that here in this city, some people that I know, they had electric bikes. So when they were allowed out, they were allowed to, drive their electric bike to the supermarket. If it got really bad and the taxis didn't come back on board for us, we would have either had to walk or take our push bikes. Fortunately, the restriction on the taxis were lifted, but to get in a taxi, you need a mask. So you need masks, whatever anybody says. Maintain your routines. If you're getting in a taxi, wash your hands. Squirt your hands when you get out. Don't touch your face. On planes, if you're going to catch a plane, if you have to catch a plane, remember the air is recycled. Don't take your masks off. I've read other advices. Don't accept the food on the plane because you have to take your mask off to eat the food. Maybe you want to keep your mask on and have a little bit of a fast. Other things is if you need a drink, have a non-disposable straw. Buy some water or whatever in the departure lounge. Straw, suck it up under the mask. Minimum exposure. So it's again these small things, remembering to do everything to protect yourself. This virus is a little bugger. It the one good thing it does is move from person to person. It's very virulent. Virulent is the word. It's a virulent virus, and it moves through the community very quickly. So you have to be very aware of what you're doing. Money. The good thing about China is we're a cashless society. My wallet is here. I haven't carried my wallet around for a long time. There's a little bit of money. This is pre-virus money, but remember, notes are dirty. They're dirty every time. People know that money is not the cleanest thing in the world. But I read that CNN or heard on CNN that China's central bank is taking steps or thinking about taking steps to deep clean and destroy its cash. And we've seen videos of people putting their cash in microwaves and burning it instead of sterilizing it. The good thing about China is it's a moneyless society nowadays. We just use apps on our phones. WeChat, Alipay. I just touched my face then. WeChat, Alipay. So perhaps you could do the same. Use contactless credit cards, debit cards. Go contactless. I think there might be systems in the West. I'm not really sure. Apple Pay. I think Apple Pay is in the West. So you can pay for things without actually having to touch cash. obviously, if you're going to have to go to work and you're dealing with cash, and I must say, I have the greatest respect for the people in China who continue to work through this thing. The women on the cash tills in the supermarkets, the guys delivering food, the parcel deliveries, the cleaners, the security guys, the police, the army, the doctors, the nurses, the ancillary workers. These guys are real heroes, and we know lots of them have died. Whatever anybody says, oh, it's just a glorified cold. It's just a cold. You'll get over it in 3 days. Take an aspirin and go to bed. It's not, is it? We know there's a death rate, and the death rate in Europe is worse than China because Europe is not following the Chinese model. And I worry. I have deep worry about what's going to happen in Europe because you're so unprepared and you're not going to do what the government tells you to do, like the people here in China. We haven't been forced to do this. We're not being forced to stay in our apartment. We're doing it for the good of the community. The people are choosing to do that. The government hasn't told us, and I can go out anytime I want. I can go downtown, I can get on the bus, I can get on the train. I can do what I want at the moment. When it was a bit more severe, we were locked down, yes. But that was quickly lit. As soon as they had it under control, that was lifted. That's not going to happen in Europe, is it? You know that. So we've been here 50 days. You're going to become stir crazy. I've got stir crazy. Some days you're just thinking, what the hell am I going to do? What day is it? What am I doing? Why can't I go out? I want to go out. And there's this hubbub of fake news, racism, statistics, real news, advice, counter advice. It bombards you, especially if you're sitting in front of Facebook or Twitter or whatever bit of social media that you want to do, or you read the Daily Express or the Daily Mail or the Sun or on any of those stuff. You really don't know. You've got to get into a routine. You've got to get up. You've got to do stuff. You've got to organize stuff. You've got to, get creative. Writing, painting, reading, stripping the wallpaper. I've seen people saying, well, now at last I'm stripping the wallpaper. I've been meaning to do it for months. I'm doing this. I'm fixing that. I'm planning to do this. You might have to self-home your kids. So you might have to learn some maths. So you got to shake off this ennui. You got to shake it off and become positive and constructive. And most of all, do not panic. You can survive this. One of the other things I want to talk about is the great toilet paper panic. I ranted about this the other night, but it's the great toilet paper panic of 2020. It's a joke. I think it's a joke. And I'll tell you why it's a joke. The reason I think it's a joke, this toilet paper panic, is think about it seriously. Half the world do not use toilet paper. What makes you any different? Apart from culture and conditioning. Soap and water works very well. And, let me divulge one of my deepest, darkest secrets is that when I was a teenager, I read a book by Jack Kerouac, as we all do. One of the beat poets, one of the beat writers. I want to rub my nose, but I'm forcing myself not to because we don't need to do that. And a book by Jack Kerouac called Big Sur. And in that, when I was a teenager, I read parts of it that was they were going on, these beatniks were going on about how the high and mighties of the world, the president, the the kings and queens, the rich guys, the business leaders, they're all full of themselves, all the pomp and ceremony, all the bluster, and they're walking around with a dirty ass. And because they only use toilet paper and they don't wash. And that really struck a chord with me. And from the time I read that, I washed myself. I don't walk around with a dirty ass. Yeah, I use toilet paper first and then I wash myself. But, I could do without the toilet paper. It takes a minute. And we go, oh, you all know what it's like because you all know that you end up with skid marks in your pants at the end of the day. And for the Americans, pants. I'm British. Pants are our underwear, not our outerwear. And you all end up with skid marks, and we think it's all funny. I mean, I just think that's horrendously disgusting. The last thing I want to do is walk around all day with my pants full of skid marks. So why are you fighting over toilet paper? Really? Seriously? That's going to save you? It's not going to save you, is it? It's just selfishness. And okay, I agree. You've got to protect yourself from this virus. You've got to protect yourself because the government's not going to do it. But having 300 rolls of toilet paper is not going to save you if you don't do anything else. Come on, people. I don't mind if you've got 20 tins of baked beans in your larder. I went out and got a big shop myself, but toilet paper, really? Anyway, let's leave it at that, eh? The other thing you might need to think about as far as health and safety or health is concerned is getting your vitamin D. If you're stuck in all day, you need some vitamin D. And I don't mean rush down the chemist and buy 20 bottles of vitamin D. You can go out and stand in the garden in the sunshine with your mask on, obviously. So yeah, get some sunshine. Vitamin D. You don't get vitamin D in sunshine through a window. It doesn't work. So you've got to be actually outside in the sun. So get some sunshine because that make you feel good. I see there's a run on vitamin C as well. Fine if you want to take vitamin C, but remember, if you take more than your normal daily requirement, you just pee it out. Your body just excretes it. So it's no good, popping vitamin C and think that's gonna save you because it won't. Your body takes what it wants and then extracts the rest. Exercise is important. Sitting on one's fat ass all day, which is what I've been doing, to be honest, is unhealthy and demoralizing. Yeah, I get out and I can walk the dog. I've got the dog, and we can walk around our community with no problems. We can't when it was big when the big lockdown was, we weren't allowed out, but the community we could walk around it. Uh, yeah, so I've just been getting fat. Look, my hair is growing. This is the longest. This is the longest my hair has been since I don't know, 10, 20 years because the barbers are shut. Hopefully we can get to the barber this week and you might see a brand new coiffured me. And, also think about the other stuff. What happens if you need a dentist? What happens if you have a health problem and you need to visit a hospital, but the hospitals are full of virus patients? Where do you need to get to? Because they might allocate different places. If you are a reader, you can drop the Kindle app onto your phone And Kindle does a deal of the day. You can buy a new book every day for 99p. I've been doing that. Do something positive that makes you feel like you're in control, which is why I started doing these films. It fills a few hours every day. You're learning something new. I write things as well. Keep a blog. It's therapeutic. It gives me a sense of being useful. Keep a journal. I kept a journal, and it's being published in a local expat newspaper here in China. So, a little bit of this comes my way as well. Food, yeah, get your food in. There's been a bit of a run on these things. I don't know what it's like in Europe, but in China, we didn't have to do that because the government guaranteed there would be no food shortages, and there were no food shortages. I put 4 videos up on YouTube, and you can see the supermarket that we go to. There were no shortages apart from noodles. And touching my face again. Noodles and some other stuff. I can't remember. Pasta, was it? So a few things in the frozen food section were disappearing. Booze. Buy more booze than you need. It goes rather quickly. Yeah. My tea bag's disappearing as well because I'm drinking too many brews every day. I bring tea bags from England, tea to China. Ha ha ha. Ironic, huh? So, pets. Don't believe the story from Hong Kong that pets can carry the virus. They did find one dog that had a minimal reaction, minimal infection, but it wasn't ill. I mean, they thought it was on its body. It picked up a virus somewhere, and that's what it was the reaction to. And that's why we clean our dogs when we go in the house. Clean its feet, give it a quick rub over. Yeah. So yeah, sweat the small stuff. I'm just about finishing up now. Finish up now. Sweat the small stuff. Focus on the details that will keep you alive in these situations. Bog rolls and beans are important. Don't get me wrong. But they're indicative that you're focusing on the big stuff. The big stuff is not going to keep you alive. You all like to chatter about it online, but there's nothing wrong with that. But here in China, because of the nature of the community, because of the nature of the government and the government's approach, there's been no panic. People have followed instructions to stay in, wear masks, and follow the required routines. That's all you have to do. That's the small stuff. I worry that you in the West will not do that. You don't trust your governments to do the right thing. And from what I'm seeing on the news, the government isn't doing the right thing. They don't seem to be able to respond in the way that the Chinese people and the Chinese government have. But what I want to say here in China, if it wasn't for the selfless work of countless doctors, nurses, and medics who have been dying, because of their commitment, the ancillary workers, the police, the emergency services, the army, the community security guys, the security guys in our community, the delivery guys who continued to deliver food, the shopkeepers, supermarket employees who work through all this, the bus drivers, taxi drivers, metro and train employees, volunteers who are taking food to the ill people and the ill people who are under proper quarantine. So, for example, you fly into China from somewhere, you've got a self-quarantine for 2 weeks. You get bought food. It's very organized. Other people, volunteers, feeding pets for people who are in hospital. Think about these things. Volunteers driving doctors and nurses to work in the lockdown areas like Wuhan because there are no taxis. Down to the rubbish collectors who've been collecting the rubbish, whatever you've seen on the videos. China is not full of rubbish all over the streets. And the army of cleaners disinfecting and cleaning our community every day. I saw them doing it again today. They disinfected our lifts and the entrance to our community and all the social areas 50 days in, and we would never have made it this far. So basically, keep your social distance, don't panic, maintain your health and safety routines, and you will get through this. Just watch out for everybody else, especially the whole old people. You know, this is killing old people. So old people like me. So just watch out for them, and I wish you all well. And I will continue to make some videos. And yeah, so that's going to be the end of this. So good luck, and hope this has been useful for you. Bye for now.